of the JavaScript code directly into the HTML page source and make it behave accordingly. So this was later on. They avoided it. They introduced some other drivers. So that I will come to that. I not yet covered that portion. So earlier the RC, what it was doing is that it will inject some Java code into the HTML page source itself and make the website do the action whatever we are intended to do. So the problem with this one is like there is a client application and you are right away injecting some of the JavaScript into that client application so that it will behave that way. So that will defeat your test purpose. I mean everything you cannot then cover it using your test code because you are right away injecting some of the code into the already implemented HTML page source code. Is it clear? So in short, what I was mentioning is like Selenium RC had another component called the Selenium server. So that server was doing some of the steps which was necessary at that time for a Selenium program to interact with the browser, which is kind of a mediator which is not there currently. So what they did recently is like they moved out of that server concept and they introduced a specific driver for each of the browsers. So here if you see, Safari will be having a Safari driver, Chrome will be having a Chrome driver, Firefox will be having a respective driver called Geeko driver. So what the interaction will be like, so you will use any one of the API which is exposed by Selenium WebDriver in your program, in your automation program, and that API will right away call a method inside this driver. In case of if you are opening a Firefox driver, this Geeko driver will act as a mediator between this the particular Firefox instance and the WebDriver. So there will be a mediator like this. So in case of Chrome, there will be a Chrome driver. So all these specific drivers for each of the browser you need to download and keep it in along with your WebDriver library.
Okay. And so, it might be a stupid question, but can we make the program have multiple drivers for different browsers?
Yes, obviously. So the only difference is like, so see, let's say what we are going to do is like, say, we as a programmer, we will choose any one of the language. In our course, we will be covering Java. So we will take Java. Since we are taking Java, we are using IDE, Eclipse as IDE. So programmer creates an automation code in Eclipse using the WebDriver. And the WebDriver we need to only download any one of according to our browser of interest, or if you are interested in all the browsers, download all these EXEs. All this comes as EXE if you use Windows. So in case of Linux, respective binary you will get. Or Mac, I did not try, but Mac also it is all these executables are available inside the Selenium headquarter website. So you just download it and set the environmental variable for that particular on which location inside your TP this particular driver. In case of Chrome, you need to download an exe related to Chrome, which is called a Chrome driver. You download it and keep it in any location in your TP and you need to set an environmental variable so that Selenium WebDriver will understand if you set that environmental variable, okay, the executable is there in that location. Thereafter, you can ignore this thing. I mean, you can thereafter you can open the Chrome and you can do your standard operations. So the same setting applicable for all the other browsers. If you set, that's a one-time setting. If you do it, then any of the browser of your wish you can open it and you can interact with your website of interest or your application under test.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah. Thank you.
So website uses the WebDriver uses any one of this driver, and finally it opens the particular website. And to Selenium, the website will be, as I mentioned, website will be visible something like this. So now let's say I opened any one of the website And now the moment using WebDriver, if I suppose that site, the WebDriver will be seeing only this HTML page source. Now, if you need to, let's say it is having a button, a click button, uh, or a login button. So you need to click on that login button. So you first need to identify out of this page source which portion is responsible for that login button, and we need to search that portion. We need to give a way to Selenium to search that that particular button and interact to that one. So that portion which is inside the HTML page, we call it as web element. So basically, for the Selenium library, it's all about web element. You need to identify that web element and you need to operate upon it. So whatever interactions you want, there will be APIs. So using those APIs, you can do that one. So in case of click, there will be a click API. So in case of text box, there will be a send key API. So like that, and if it is a form, you can submit that form. There is a submit API. So all those APIs you can do until after you finding that particular web element. So you need to help Selenium WebDriver to find that web element. So that is how that is where the element location time techniques comes handy. So before going to that one, I'll just show a flowchart of how a standard Selenium routine can be implemented. So it goes this way. So first you need to open your whatever application you're going to write test code. So let's say it's a banking site, an Axis Bank website you're going to test it. So we need to first open that bank website on Chrome browser. I'm specifically telling Chrome browser because Chrome browser, if you do it, there are some advantage. So you can later on your automation code can be opened on any browser, but this is to first identify the web element. We will be hereafter using the Chrome browser because Chrome browser will have some default plugins which we can utilize to find the web element. So this is the first step. So we need to open that application under test on a Chrome browser. And the second step is like you can right click. I already mentioned there is a page source. So let's say I will open one website here. So this is a Google home page, which there is one option called view page source where the total HTML page source is visible here. Okay, some other page will open. So here if you see, you can see one option called inspect. It's visible, right? So if you open that one, a new tool. This tool is called a developer tool. So this tool basically used for development of this browser. So if this browser backend, what happens? All those communication you can see it using this tool. So we are going to use this tool to identify our web element. So this is called a developer tool, and each browser will name this tool accordingly. In Chrome, we will name it as developer tool. In Firefox also, they will, I think, Firefox developer tool, and they have Firebug, another plugin which pretty much does the same stuff. But for Chrome, this is kind of built in, so you don't need to install anything extra for this one, because I opened this site inside Chrome browser. So and I did a right click and did an inspect element, and if you see a highlight here, so actually the connect button is the connect button portion of it is actually this code which is highlighted inside this developer tool. This is the area which is responsible for that connect icon. So you can, if I hover the mouse here, you can see that highlight is only confined towards that connect, right? Visible, right? If I'm moving that, it is going to some other portion. Yeah. So with this we can make sure, okay, this is the area which is responsible for that connect icon. So and this is the HTML page source which is responsible for that icon, and this we will call it as web element. So for Selenium, this portion is a web element. So if let's say using Selenium WebDriver, I need to do a click on this one. There is no click operation on this one. I'm just telling. So if I need to do a click operation on this one, first Selenium WebDriver need to identify this portion that we need to identify from this one, from this area. So this is starts with the image tag. So this image tag is responsible for this icon. So that is the second step, which involves, again, let me go back to this page. So that is the second step. So we basically identify an expression which will help Selenium WebDriver to identify that web element, a particular web element. Once we identify that one, we can go back to the program and we can open any browser which we wanted to open. So in this case, I just showed an example of Firefox. So this line, WebDriver driver equal to new Firefox. Now if even though I just showing this as a flowchart, I will be covering this in detail. You just hear this portion of it, which will be confusing for the first time. I'll just finish this flowchart and we will go back to the element location techniques. Okay. All right. So this is the.
Anil, if any doubt, please ask. Okay, so that it will be interactive.
Yeah, if you guys so far any doubts, so I was just covering the flowchart which involves the automation of any standard routine of a website. So first step I was mentioning, like, we need to open that particular website in a Chrome, and from the Chrome there is a developer tool. Using the developer tool, we'll identify an expression which actually Selenium WebDriver will understand that expression to identify that particular element inside that website. So that is this portion. And the third is, like, we are using the Selenium WebDriver. We will be opening any one of the browser of your interest. In this example code, I was just showing Firefox driver. So this line, the moment this line is executed inside the Java program, a Firefox instance will get opened on the TP. And the second line is like driver, that driver.get. Here you can give URL. So if it's an Axis Bank website, that site address you can give here, so that that Firefox instance, that site will get opened. So this is the third step. And the fourth step is like, once that site is opened, so on the second step we are identifying an expression which we need to do some operation on the website, right? So let's say there is a click button on a website and you need to do a click using Selenium WebDriver. So you need to find an expression which identifies that click button web element. So that expression, you can use it and tell WebDriver to find that web element. The moment this find element executed by the program only, the Selenium WebDriver will really reaches or search and reaches that position. Let's say I am giving an expression, I found an expression to identify this connect icon, and I'll give that data to the find element API, so that the find element API will find the respective web element responsible for that one. Web element, as I mentioned, the backend page source. So the connect button, see, this portion is the web element for that connect button. So the first that Selenium library need to understand, right? So where that library need to operate upon. So that using that expression, the Selenium library can figure out. So that is done using this find element API. So once that element is found, you can do any standard interaction. So if your interest is click operation, so we were discussing about the button. So obviously a standard operation for a button is like a click. So that element, whatever element which we found on the previous step, you can click it. So in case of text box, you can do a send key. This is API. These two are the APIs which you do a click or a populate a string to a text box. once you're done with that operation, you can quit so that the driver will close automatically.
Can you repeat the last two steps one more time?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So this step, what I was mentioning is like we are helping Selenium WebDriver to identify the portion of the website, whatever our interest is. So if it is a click button, we will be giving a expression inside this find element so that Selenium WebDriver will find the web element respective to that portion of a website. So once we found that element, you can do a click operation or a send key operation. So click operation is like a standard click, and the send key is like if you have a username text box, you can populate your username into that text box. So this is the API, a web element.send key. This is the API which is responsible for sending that text box.
Okay.
So this you don't need to bother much. Just because we will be covering into detail once we brush about Java's portion, so that you can understand it better. So I was just telling these are the standard steps involved inside a Selenium automation. So any portion of a website, if you need to do an operation, there will be APIs. So you first need to identify the expression to identify that web element and find that element, click on it, or send the send key or whatever you do on top of that web element.
Okay.
So now we are coming to element location technique. So as I mentioned, this steps is so critical because without identifying that web element, so let's say in this case, so there is a home button here. So we need to do a click on this home button. So we need to tell Selenium WebDriver, right? Okay, this is where this home button is located inside this total website, right? So for doing that one, we need to right click, and I opened this website in a Chrome browser. So there is an option inspect. So if I click on that one, a developer tool will get opened, and there is one portion which is highlighted here. So and that portion, if you hover your mouse cursor, you can see here the home button is highlighted. So that means this div tag is responsible for that home button. So we need to give this information to the Selenium WebDriver. Then only we can do a click operation. So to give this information to Selenium given a set of methods. So those methods are this one. So we call it as generally element location methods. So there are 8 methods. I just listed in a hierarchical order where the first 6 methods are the fastest identification methods. And so if you see the name, class name, ID, link test, partial link test, and tag name, these are the methods which Selenium WebDriver can identify the web element quite fast compared to other 2 techniques, which is called CSS and XPath. So the first 6 techniques, you have direct APIs which I will be covering, which we won't be covering now, because if I explain using a program only, you will better understand that portion. But the next 2, the CSS and XPath, we will be covering in today and the next tomorrow's class.
Okay.
So let me move to. So currently we will see the CSS way of identifying. The CSS already mentioned earlier sometime. Actually, see, the CSS is what you call it. It's a kind of a format or a syntax, a set of syntax which works along with the HTML page, which is responsible for the styling of the web page. So let's say this page, you have, see, the background of these buttons are all blue, right? So all this blue, there will be, if you right click, that CSS area will be inside the source somewhere. Okay, that anyway, we don't need those portions. I'm just telling there will be a code which is responsible for handling this kind of color, styling, everything. All those things will be done using the CSS. So and we will use this CSS to identify a web element inside the HTML page, right? So there are a number of techniques available. So there are a number of techniques. So we'll start with the one of the basic one. So let's say I'm going to identify a CSS expression. So we'll call it as a CSS expression. So CSS expression responsible for this home button. Right. So for doing that one, I opened the developer tool, and the developer tool, there is one option called console. You guys can try the same in your TP as well, so that if you have any doubt, you can ask right away. So there is a console there for this developer tool, and in that console there is one function called $, and this function. So what is the advantage of this console is like we need to our basic primary job is to identify a CSS expression for this home button, right? So and if we identify one expression using this console, you can make sure whatever expression you are going to identify or you identified is unique and correct. So you just need to you can just validate your expression using this console itself. So that later on you don't need to bother about your expression. You can make sure, okay, whatever expression you identified for this particular home button is correct or proper.
Why did you put this $? Is it like something?
See the $$ is a function provided by this developer tool. So you can consider this as a function. So any function will be having a name followed by a parenthesis, right? So and this function is called CSS validator. So CSS expressions can be validated using this function. So whatever expression you are identifying, you can pass that expression inside, and if you give enter, you will get a result. So if that expression is proper, you will get a proper result, and if your expression is not proper, you will get an error, something like this, your DOM exception. So we will first identify an CSS expression responsible for this area, this home button. So home button, here it is. Is it visible, this portion?
Yeah.
If you see here, see one A tag start with A. So as I mentioned, so any HTML page, there will be a combination of tag, JavaScript, CSS, everything, and the tag is one of the main or visible thing which is there inside the HTML page. And this home button, this tag A is the tag which is responsible for that home button, right? So because if I hover here, that home, you can see it is highlighted. You're able to see that? So if I move out of it, it is going, and see, and the next I hover on the div tag, now the site index is highlighted because the site index, this div is responsible for the site index portion. So now we are going to identify an expression, CSS expression, to this home button. So that home button, the expression goes like this. We need to give the basic expression will be like tag name followed by a square braces, then attribute name and attribute value. So what is this tag name and attribute name and values? So the first version, as I mentioned, which starts with this what is called, so this less than or what these braces, that less than braces. So that's expression, whatever is there, that will be the tag of the HTML. So in this case, this is TD is the tag. In this case, div is the tag. Or the next one here, this is div is the tag. Again, in this case, A is the tag. Is it clear? And for that A tag, there are some information inside that one. Inside that tag. So those are like, the first data is like href. So this is called attribute name and equal to, there is some string there, index.php. So this is called attribute value. So this is the attribute value and this is the attribute name. And A is the tag. So like that, here the class is another attribute name and now link x, nav link h, that is the attribute value response respective to this attribute, class attribute. And home is called a text for the tag. So that will come back later on. So there is some more concept which we need to cover. Then we'll come to this text area of it. But this is a standard web element which will be having a tag information. Then there will be attribute name and respective attribute values. Clear? So in the total HTML page, which will be a combination of HTML tags. See, HTML tag which start with the HTML tag, then header. After header, there will be a body. And the total body, see, if I place the cursor on the body, the total website is highlighted. You can see that, right? Because everything of that web page is there, the data is there inside this body. So again, I am right-clicking this one and inspect so that A tag will get highlighted. So now we will identify an expression, CSS expression for that to find out that tag. So that goes like this. First the tag name, in our case A, followed by a square braces. So this is the standard syntax. Tag name, then square braces, attribute name equal to respective attribute value. So again, coming back to developer tool. So I just use the A as the tag name because A is the tag name in our case. Then square braces. Then there is an href data. So which is nothing but an attribute name. So that I am copy pasting here. Then equal to respective attribute value. Alright. So in this case there is index.php. Index.php. So now you can see that portion alone, that whatever we identified, that alone we got as a result to this function. So that means whatever expression we identified is proper and unique. Is it clear? Any doubt here? Okay, so I was mentioning, so this is the standard expression. Standard expression will be like tag name followed by square braces, then respective attribute value. In our case, there are two attributes. I just picked the first one, href. So I use that href here as the attribute name. then equal to respective attribute value. Here the attribute value is index.php. Right?
So what is this function doing? Like after finding up the CSS, like how?
Yeah, so
I did not understand what the result it gave.
yeah, so this you don't need to bother the detail of this result. The only thing you need to bother is like you got the same web element which you were intended for finding. So in our case, see, I am going to if I so this is the result I got. I just clicked this one, and if I do a right click, there is one option called reveal on the main page. So here it is revealed. So that means whatever expression could identify the proper web element which we were trying to find, right? So that's it. You don't need to bother about the detail about how that result it is presented on the console. So why we are using this function is because just let me finish it. Why we are using this function because this is just to make sure whatever expression whatever CSS expression we identified is proper and unique. So just to make sure that one, we will just execute that expression here itself and we will see. So let's say I missed this square braces here. If I execute, I got error. So this expression is not a proper CSS expression. So with this, we can make sure. So that is only use of using this dollar function.
So for dollar function, so I would like to ask you, like, what is the significance of that? For other page, will it be the dollar or something else, other value? Let's say this is you are using some basic page like FS page, right? FSD. For let's say I open another bank site, so with that in that case also to write this expression, I will use this dollar or something else.
Yes, always. So if you are opening Chrome developer tool, the function which you have to validate CSS expression is $, irrespective of whatever website you open. Because this $, is a functionality of a Chrome developer tool.
Okay.
So whatever website you open, let's say we will open some other website. So just Google website itself. So I right click to this Google icon and again inspect. I clicked it. So here also see you got console, developer console. So here $, is the function which you need to exercise to figure out any of the CSS expression which you wanted to take from this website.
Okay.
So let's say we will identify a CSS expression for this Google search box. So what do you need to do? We need to click on that text box. I did a right click. Inspect, I clicked. So a portion of that HTML page is highlighted where the tag information is input. So this input tag is the one responsible for input tag is we can call it as web element. So because Selenium hereafter we are going to call this portion is a web element for this text box, this Google search text box. See, if I hover that mouse here, you can see it is highlighted happened on the back end. So now, if I need to find a CSS expression for this web element, so what is the tag here? Input, right? So I used input. Now, this input tag has so many attribute names. So I'm in it out. Okay. So yeah, this input tag has so many attribute names. I'm just picking class name, class attribute, and its respective value. So the value should be inside a single quote, and the total expression should be inside double quote. GSFI. See, now you got 3 data, right? You can see it? Can you see it?
Yes.
So now we got three data. So if I give this expression to Selenium WebDriver, Selenium WebDriver will get confused because which is my web element? You given me three web element. Out of this, which one I need to operate upon?
Mm.
So that this is another advantage of using this developer tool, so that you can figure out, okay, whatever expression you identified is not unique enough. So you need to again rely on some other expression to to figure out and or to locate this particular web element. All right. So to do that, instead of this class, I will use another attribute here. Can I'm going to use this name attribute instead of class. Okay. So class I am replacing with name. Then the respective value is q, right? So I did an enter. So you got only one result. And here, if you open this cursor and right click that data, and there is an option reveal in the element panel. So see the whatever web element which we wanted only got highlighted here. So that means whatever expression we figured out now is proper. So in case of name, if you would have used the class, it was not unique. So that's why we changed that class attribute to name, and we got a unique CSS expression.
Oh, okay.
Arun, can you give 5 minutes to everyone so that they can practice this?
Yeah, we can wait. I mean, I'll be online so that you can try the same thing, because the Selenium, this is one of the critical step, because the people in my experience, a lot of people relied upon. There are a lot of tools available in the market, like as a plugin to browsers, which will right away give you this expression. So if you use that plugin and click that web element, it will give this expression. You can use that for your program. But the thing is, like when it comes to some complex expression, you don't get the unique instance of it. So and you will struggle there. So this is one of the critical aspect of Selenium automation. Identification of a web element. Using any one of the technique, currently we are seeing CSS.
Yeah, so everyone can go to Google homepage and try to find out some elements. Maybe I'm feeling lucky that button.
Either the Google search button or I am feeling lucky button, or the language options link. So whatever button, whatever data or a portion of a website which you wanted to find the CSS expression, you keep the cursor there, right click, there is an option inspect, which will open a developer tool, and the respective web element will get highlighted inside that tool. Anybody facing issue trying this much?
So I have this MacBook, so I opened this, so I need to click on console to go there.
Which browser you are using?
Google. Oh, I think I opened Safari just a second.
Yeah. Okay.
So after clicking inspect, this developer page open, then after that I need to go to console.
Yeah, so for the console, if it is not opening automatically, that you can click the escape button, so that console will get opened up.
Okay, yeah. Now it's open.
And also, if you want to move that, if it's in the right side, right? If you want to move down, you have right side. There is a three dot dog side one
Yeah,
option is there.
yeah, there is one three dot option on the. I think by default this tool get opened on the right side portion. So and three buttons there on the right topmost right side. Where if you click on the rightmost one, which will open a separate window. So that the developer tool will get opened as a separate window. So yeah, basic expression I just highlighted here so that you can see that and accordingly you can. So tag name
Name.
followed by square braces, open square braces, then attribute name equal to respective attribute value, then close square braces.
I'm feeling lucky. Tag name is input.
Everybody try I am feeling lucky. About Bindu and Vibhasana.
I was able to do it.
Yep, okay. So you got the expression also right.
Yeah.
So which attribute name you used?
I had used HREF, the one that you showed the first time.
Okay, you were trying the search box. Okay.
No, so actually I had Gmail open, so I tried the inbox link.
Okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, you can open any website. Just follow this syntax. That's it.
Can you show the syntax one more time?
Yeah, sure. So I'm taking an expression for I am feeling lucky button. So this is the syntax.
Tag name, attribute name, equal to attribute.
Hello. Anil, I think I lost you in between. Will you be able to continue from that?
Uh, where? Which portion
Yes,
you want?
we are the one which you are right now projecting, the basic expression.
Yeah. Are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
Okay, so the basic expression. So I'll just show. I am feeling lucky button one more time. Is that fine?
Yeah. I also tried to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
I can see the console.
Okay. Now I did a right click on the I am feeling lucky button. Then I came to the console portion. Then dollar function. The expression should be inside double quotes and use this syntax. So and the syntax is like tag name followed by a open square braces, then attribute name equal to respective attribute value, and attribute value should be in single quotes and close square braces. So in our case, so I am feeling uh, lucky button. The tag is input, right?
Yeah, tag is input.
Input. So then open square braces. Then we will take the first attribute itself, attribute value. So value equal to in single quotes the respective value for that value attribute.
Yeah, I am feeling lucky.
I am filing a key string. Yeah, I think this you will face an issue.
I am putting this, but I am not getting the expected result.
Yeah, because it is having a special, already having a single quote inside, right?
Yeah, okay. That's right. I thought
Okay.
like.
Yeah, that's the reason. So there are some way to if this is the case, we can take some portion of this one, like feeling alone, or some of the containing text alone. We can take it and use that as an attribute. I will come to that one. We'll cover that portion in the coming points.
Or we can use a different attribute also, right? Like
we can use the name one. So time being, I will just use name here.
I think it's I and not Y.
Yeah. So you got the result, right? If you want to make sure, you can just right click and reveal in the element panel so that the same tag will get highlighted. Okay, so so this was the basic expression of CSS. Let me shall I go on to the next point?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this expression, what this says? So input first string what we give is like input tag, right? So this means I'm telling to the CSS, I'm telling to the Selenium web driver like go and search anywhere inside the HTML page where the tag name starts with input, right? And which should be followed by an attribute name with the respective string btni. So similarly, let's say there is we don't have a proper way to identify this particular tag, then we can come to this tag from its parent. So a parent to this one is like div tag. So is it visible? Div, right? So See, if I this downward arrow, if I click on that one, see that code disappeared because this div is a parent for this input Google search box. I mean, input for the search button and the I am feeling like lucky button. So this div. So if you see here, the leftmost section, the total both of that button got highlighted when this div I put the cursor. So let's assume there is no way to identify a unique expression using this input tag. The timing, let's assume, because there are there will be some situation when we automate, like you cannot right away identify the web element of your interest. So you need to reach to that web element from its parent or something. So in this case, let's say we are going to come to this one from its parent. So for this input tag, the parent is div, right? So I will, instead of input, I'm going to use div tag. Again, the expressions will be the same. So in this case, what will be, div is the tag, then I will use class as attribute name, then JSB as the respective attribute value. So I got the result. Now from this tag, I need to reach the input. So for doing that one, there is one syntax called rightward arrow, and you can give that tag name, whatever is a child. Okay, in this case, input is not the direct child, there is something in the middle, sender, right? So we need to use sender first. So you got the result. So this rightward arrow is the syntax to go to the immediate child of the your respective tag or web element. So from the div web element, I reached the child. So this is an expression to achieve that one. So that is the second point which I mentioned here, direct child, which uses right arrow key. And again, if you need to come to the input, means one more arrow key, then input tag. So there are two childs, so we got two results, two data as result, two web element as results. Is it clear? So like that you can navigate actually. So from the total HTML page, so let's say the HTML is the parent of all the child. So if I use the HTML tag here, see the full data I got. Inside that one you can keep on navigating and reach all the buttons. So let's say from inside the HTML, there is one child head. Say reach head. So this is the head data. So like that you can navigate. So this is the using this expression you can direct child you can reach. Again, I'm going back to I'm feeling the key button. So we will cover all these different techniques which is available in the CSS today. Then tomorrow we will see the XPath. So the next one is any subchild.
So Anil, so you got two expressions, right? In two inputs. So how to give to the second one if you want? You can give.
I will come to that one. There is one more. That is the last point which I mentioned, end of time. So using that one you can reach the the respective child.
The square bracket 0 1 will not work.
Square bracket 0 1 in XPath only that works, I think.
Okay.
You tried it? Let me try. No, it don't work. So XPath can do that.
Yeah.
So can we not again give an attribute name for one of the input tags?
Instead of coming this way.
No, so we reached until input, right, in your last statement.
Okay.
After center we reached input. Then inside input tag, can we give one of the attributes and find the right element?
Yes, we can do that. Yeah, I missed that point. Sorry. So the whatever, so we reach the input, right? And there, if you give the whatever expression basic expression we learned. So let me open any one of the input. So here again you can start as square braces. As you asked, you can use here. I'm using the value attribute name as value, then the respective string here. These are the two inputs which we got as results, right? So the respective attribute value. You can give. So you got the first input.
Okay.
So only difference is like we are reaching to this input from somewhere a parent of that input, which is div. So div, then sender, then to input, and that input we are telling that input should be having an attribute name string as value and the respective values at Google search. So if I need the second one means you can, instead of last time we used it name, right? Instead of that we can use type, then here the string is submit. Yeah, so here if you see both the input has a type of submit. That's why again I got two results. Are you following? Okay, so in this case, okay, here itself I will cover that also. So let's say I did not find any unique single attribute name. So in that case, I can use another attribute name along with this one. So you can just AND it with other data. So in this case, I will use attribute name as name, then respective attribute value btni. See, now I got again the unique one, because here I used both the attributes, both the name attribute and the type attribute. So this is like ANDing. This is like you can AND multiple. So let's say you need to AND one more attribute like area label. So in this case, I will add it with the first input. Again, area label attribute. So I got the unique again. So which is nothing but the first input. So the square braces basically you can AND it first with the second. So all those expression matches, you will get the result. And let me move on to any child. Let's say now we got using this expression we got the sender immediate child, right? So let's say from this parent, div parent, div parent is nothing but let me show it over here. So for this div parent, there is only one child center, and inside that one there are two inputs. So right away, without using center, I need to reach this input. So for that one, instead of right arrow, you can give a space, then input. So this expression means I'm very particular about my parent, like div with the attribute having class with the respective name JSB should be, this should be my parent, and for this parent, whatever child, either it's a grandchild or grandchild, or in that hierarchy wherever it comes as a child, child whose tag is input, which will print here.
Okay.
So another example, probably we will go a little top. We'll take another one. So I'll take this div class. Again, here also attribute is class only, so respective value. Respective value, then div. So see, because this div having so many childs, so all this, there are 16 childs are there. Div, then yeah, there are 16 div childs are there for this particular parent. So all those things are listed here. So if you would have given with an arrow, only immediate div would have printed. See, immediate div is this one. So that got searched. So far clear? Okay, let me, so there is two more small concepts here. So in case of CSS, if your attribute is a class, so inside your tag your attribute is a class, then you don't need to use this basic expression also. There is one short key called a dot. If you use div instead of div open braces class name equal to value equal to respective attribute value. So I just use the dot, which is nothing but class, then that attribute value, which got me the same result as above. Is it clear? Let me refresh one more time. I will show it again. So I was finding this web element using our basic XPath expression, which is nothing but basis then attribute equal to attribute value. So instead of in this case, since our attribute is a class, instead of using this much big expression, you can replace this one with just dot with its respective value. We will get the same data. So this is just a shortcut which is available inside CSS.
So if I put this dot, then it's called XPath something.
Oh no. XPath, don't confuse with XPath, because when we find this expression, I mean when we use this expression itself, we will tell Selenium WebDriver, okay, which technique I am going to use with this expression. So let's say this expression Selenium will be calling by method CSS. So we cannot use XPath expression for that API.
Okay.
XPath we will cover on, I think I cannot cover on this class. Next tomorrow's session I can cover XPath also. But the CSS is one of the commonly used, mainly because it is faster than XPath way of identifying. So Selenium WebDriver can identify the web element faster than an XPath expression. CSS can identify the web element faster than XPath expression. So most of the time we will use CSS only, and there are some unique cases which we can achieve only through XPath. So that alone we will go through XPath, because XPath is one of the powerful and the slowest one. So XPath, almost anything and everything you can identify from the total HTML page source. You can totally play around with the total HTML page source from one location, going back, forward, every options will be available in XPath. But the problem is like which is relatively slow. So your application which you are going to automate is sensitive to the time or your performance. Then XPath is a better option than CSS is a better option than XPath. Personally, in our project, we use only XPath because we don't really bother about the performance or anything. So we use only XPath. But an industry best practice, if you see, most of the people are following CSS, and if you don't find any way, then only people will come to XPath.
Okay.
But for the Selenium WebDriver, it doesn't matter much. Only thing is that it takes little more time. So let's say even we tried some time stamping also. In our cases, we are getting that delay is in milliseconds only. Like let's say if CSS takes 10 milliseconds to find an element, XPath might take 100 milliseconds. So everything will happen still in milliseconds, not in minutes or anything as such. Okay, let me move on to. So we just saw a shortcut key for class attribute. Similarly, there is one available for ID also. So for ID identifying, I will take another expression. So see here, this web element has one ID attribute, right? So I'll first find an expression, CSS expression, basic CSS expression using that ID. So in this case, div is the tag, then open braces ID equal to respective ID attribute value. Close braces. So see, I got the web element. Now the short key for this ID is hash. So I got the same result, right? So this is just another option. That's it. I mean, only ID and class having this option in CSS. As far as I know, I think there will be some more, but this is I've seen frequently used in some of the examples code, which will be when you search for Selenium codes, in example codes, and you will be frequently seeing these two expressions, dot and this hash. So this is nothing but this. So you should not get confused. So the same thing you can achieve using the basic expression also, but this is basically little shortcut form of it. Okay, do you want to try any of this or? Okay, let me move on to the next two more. So after that, you can try some hands-on. Subdata we covered, substyle, direct style, ID, class. Okay. Now we will again go back to that Google search option. Okay, I am feeling lucky. Again, I am going back to that web element. So earlier, this value attribute, there was the respective value I am feeling lucky string had a special character. So due to that we are not able to use it, right? So instead of that one we are going to use that feeling string alone, so that we will make an expression which we are going to tell, okay, this value attribute going to contain a feeling string alone. Putting that one again, the input open braces value, then there is some star keyword, using star equal to then feeling. See what this star means is like, just a second. Okay, yeah, what this star means is like, this is telling to the CSS like, for an attribute value, for the attribute name value, the respective value should contain a portion of it. This whatever text which is following the star, that will be a portion of the total string. Basically, feeling will be the string which contains the I am feeling lucky as total string, right? So instead of that one, if you want to use lucky, again the same thing. So you got the same result. So this is another way of, let's say your attribute value will be having some special character or anything like that, or only you are finding a portion of it can be usable, then you can use this star key, so that you can use that contain like a portion of the string. Instead of lucky, you can even use KY also. So I mean that portion should be there inside that string. That's it.
So is this similar to the partial link text you had shown?
Yeah, but I didn't cover the partial link test, which is similar. So why I did not cover any of that is like, because I will go back to that area. So why I did not cover the first 6 options, because there we don't need any expression at all. So in case of name, so since we understood so much, I can cover that portion a little bit. Let me open again. So in this, if you see, there is one attribute name, right? So I again open the Google search button. So there is one attribute name. So name respective string is what? BTN capital K, right? So we can right away take this string alone, whatever the value for this name attribute, that string alone you can take it and pass to Selenium WebDriver, because by name, that is by name technique, because that is not an expression. By name, any name attribute coming here in your web element, then you can use by name method. And the input expression for that one is said just this that string alone, BTNK, that string alone. Is that confusing?
So there is no separate syntax for each of them. We can use the same way.
Exactly. There is no separate syntax for any of the first 6 techniques, which is the primary suggested or recommended techniques from Selenium WebDriver, because this WebDriver inside they have implementation to search and find it. So which is pretty fast compared to CSS and XPath. So if you are right away finding either name, like this name, there will be class name like class. So you've seen somewhere. So in this case, see this div tag, there is a class. So this JSW you can right away use there. So you can use by class name as a technique, and you can find the web element. Or ID, we have seen some time back ID, right? So I will open one of such web element. So let's suppose in this case, if I need to identify this web element, we have an ID attribute. So we can use by ID as the technique to identify the web element, and you need to give this string, ID respective string. Which is again the recommended way of doing it. And the way I see it is like when you develop any web application, if you have a direct interaction with the developers, like let's say the developer is developing some of this tool and you are right away automating that routines along with them, then you can ask them to create web element according to your requirement. So in that case, you will be able to use this ID class and all, because most of the time after development is done, when you get the tool, you won't be see in this case ID there is one decimal 0. So this is obviously is not unique, because next time when you open this web page, that 0 may not be there, some other decimal will be there. So you cannot rely on ID or this kind of techniques always. So that's why CSS and XPath will come into picture. Getting my point? Because most of the time the class name or IDs or the link test to some extent will be unique, but IDs and names most of the time or over the years or all the time when the tool when the new update comes, all this name class name will get changed. So that is the common scenario which we used to see in the backend HTML page sources. So which those data won't be unique. So each time, let's say you tested one tool for one release, then the next release of that site comes, all this backend page source might get changed. They might use different class name or different name or new IDs. So there is no specific rule for naming any of this data, because that is entirely developers discretion to name any of this data, because these are backend informations, right? Is it clear, person?
Yes.
Yeah. So only thing is that even though, see, in this case, I would have used, in this web element case, I would have used the ID element, but still, you are not sure the same name, any other portion of this website having another web element. I mean, you don't know the uniqueness of this web element if you use ID alone, right? So at least just to confirm the uniqueness of it, again you can come back here and try that way. Try this way.
So is it advisable to always use multiple attributes if possible?
Multiple attributes in the sense
To identify a web element. Just in case one changes, at least with the other it will be able to identify, or no?
Yeah, so in Selenium, so if you, let's say if you use, if you're going to, you figured out like, okay, I can go ahead and use by name as my element location technique. So there you cannot add by name with some other technique. See, if you are selecting by name, then only name you can use. But in case of CSS expression, along with the name, you can use the class name also.
Like how we used it today.
Yeah, like how we used it that. Along with the square braces, one more square braces if you open, you can give another attribute.
Okay.
But if you use any one of the first 6 techniques, only that tag alone you can use. That attribute alone you can rely upon.
Okay.
So out of this technique, one was the link test which you asked. So the link test will be something like, let me again open that Google search page, I think. See, these are some links, right? So here the languages you can see it, right?
Yeah.
All these are some links. So if I do a right click, if you see href, so that is a standard way of expressing a link inside an HTML page. That will be having an a tag as a, tag name as a, and the attribute as href, and the respective link will be there. So you can use this link and utilize this technique by link text.
Okay.
So here that URL will be this one, this total URL you need to use, or a portion of it which is called partial link test identification, or some portion of this link test can be utilized.
Okay. So it's not for labels on the button. Text like I'm feeling lucky or Google search. It's not for those texts.
It's not for the, it's all depends on your web element, what are the attributes and what is the tag.
Okay.
So these are the available techniques, but all these techniques won't be applicable for all of your web elements. It all depends on what are the attributes and tag you are having, your web element will be having. So in this particular example, because in this web page itself there is a link, so obviously there will be a link for link text also for that one. So that's why I open here and you can see an href. The moment you see an href attribute, then you can use either link test or partial link test technique.
Got it.
And again, there the challenge is like, so let's say I used the same link text or whatever, the total URL itself in two places in this web page. So this link here, whatever link is there, let's say I use the same link here also for this link also. Then if you use the link text, you got two hit for that, and Selenium won't be able to work with that. You're getting my point?
Yeah.
So you need to make sure the uniqueness of yours. So you should be very sure if you use any one of these first 6 techniques, whatever name or whatever data you are going to use is unique itself. So that's the reason I said most of the time how this keywords works is like, so in our project also we have one project where we are closely working with the development team. So they are developing a website and we are testing right away before releasing to the customer. So there we have an option to suggest them, okay, I need a unique name for this one, I need a unique text for this one. All those things we can suggest and we can automate that way. But because you know very well how the website page information is going to be, so you're sure about the uniqueness of that data. So otherwise, what you can do is like, so what you can do is like, instead of you need to use link text only, but you need to make sure the uniqueness of this link, right? So for that one, you can do a CSS expression and come back to here and try that. And with that CSS expression, you are not finding more than one hit means you can use that as a link text. Are you getting?
Yeah.
So I can probably one more time I can explain that. So let's say in this case, if I use when I come from div and class JSB, then input. So I reach here.
What you're doing in the console, that's all CSS selectors, right?
Yeah, all this are CSS selector. What I covered so far today is everything CSS expression.
Okay.
Okay, so in this input, you have a attribute name. So let's say we are going to use we thought of using by name technique, but still we need to figure out, okay, whatever name coming here is unique enough. So for that also you can rely upon this CSS and you can try this way. You can come back here and try that one with the string BTNK. So you got only one. So that means the total HTML page, there is only one web element which is having name attribute with the value btnk. So in this case, you can go ahead and come back to here and use by name and use this string btnk. You don't need to use CSS itself as a web element location technique. You can use by name as your element location technique. Is it clear? So this also, in that case also, this kind of developer tool will come handy. So you can make sure the uniqueness of it, and you can, if you are going to use CSS only, you can make sure the whether your expression which you created is proper enough.
But I think here also the name value keeps changing. Earlier it was button I, now it's button K. So I think it keeps changing.
Exactly. So I was button I is the next one, but the next time if you refresh this page, that might change. So you cannot. So you need to gracefully. You need to seeing this one. You should be able to. I mean, with the experience that will come. So this kind of string you should never rely on, because these are some random string, random generated string. It will come at one time. Next time it will change. So if you rely upon this one, the next time when you run the same program, it may not. Selenium won't be able to find this web element.
But in CSS expression, it is not going to change. For CSS, when you are searching with CSS, it can also change there as well, right?
There as well. It can change there as well. So there, when you use the CSS expression also, you should not use. So here, if you see BT and K, this from this name itself, you can make sure this can be a random string. So don't rely on this attribute. Instead of that, you go ahead and rely on Google search. That anyway not going to change, because in the website also Google search, that button is named as Google search. So that string going to be there until Google search exists. So you can rely on that attribute, value attribute or area label attribute, and use this value instead of name attribute. So that's how we need to zero in any one of this attribute, even though you have so many attributes for any tag inside HTML.
Okay.
So that's about the first 6 techniques. So again, we are coming back to CSS. So this is the last one which I will. Yeah, I was just covering the contains portion of it, right? Which was that? Yeah. So I was just talking about that star key, which is nothing but a portion of a attribute value can be searched. So like star, there are, I will just, for your knowledge, I will just cover that also. There is something called, instead of star, there is something called a dollar, which is like any string which, whatever portion which is coming, which we should give here, should be the end of the string. So in this case, I am feeling lucky. Lucky is the end word. So see, I got the result. That means the dollar indicates the ends with, whatever ends with KY. So instead of this one, if I use LUC, see, it won't work. So instead of dollar, if you use the star, that would have worked, because star means contains the total string. A portion of it contains means we can use the star. Or if you are particular about what the end string, what are the end portion of that attribute, then you can use that dollar key. Similarly, we can use something called starts with, which is that upward arrow. So where GO. See, this means starts with. So that exponent arrow that is starts with, star is contains, and dollar is ends with. Is that clear?
No, can you repeat like?
Yeah, one more time. So what we are searching here, what we are figuring out here is like the expression for this input, Google search input button. So that has tag as input. So we use input here. Then we are going to use attribute as value. We use value here. And let's say instead of Google search, here there was some expression, something like ABCD. See, like this. So in this case, we cannot relay the total text here because some portion of this text is a random generated number, right? But the starting having a Google string. So in that case, you can use that upward arrow, this one, the exponent arrow, equal to the starting portion, GOO.
Okay.
So that it will figure out that string still. Because a lot of time you will see like this, because the string will be always random generated, most of the time the HTML page. So this kind of techniques will come handy. Some portion of it you can utilize. So instead of the starts with, it could have worked with the star also. Star is nothing but contains. Anywhere inside that string, whatever string we are mentioning, that is included in that one means we will get the data. So now this star, with this star I could have used GOO also. Instead of GOO, I could have used OO also because OO character is there inside that string, right?
Yeah.
So that's about the starts with, contains, and ends with. Now the last technique, nth type of. Okay, so what this is like, see, all these things, if you hear it, you may not able to relate as of now because when we really do that programming, you will better understand this stuff because when we automate some of the web routines, you won't be like this easily. You won't be able to get the web element because in this case, in the Google search case, and they right away use the name or value or input name key or some familiar keys they are used, but most of the tool out there won't be having this kind of easily identifiable data. So at that time, this kind of techniques will come into handy. Otherwise, commonly this kind of techniques won't be used. You will be right away getting either name, class, or link test, or a direct CSS expression will suffice your requirement. So in this case, what I am attempting to find is like, say, earlier Aaron was asking. So I am coming to this input from parent div tag. So I use the div, since it is class, I use the dot, then the respective string JSB. So I got, until then I got this parent. I got this parent. Now I need the second child, which is coming as a child to the sender, which is a child of div parent, right? So for doing that one, as I mentioned, anywhere inside the for this parent, anywhere inside that parent, if you need to find a tag, you can use space, right? So space with input tag, then there is one expression called nth type, nth of type, and I am telling give me the first one, and this is 2 means give me the second one. So this will give me the first input, and the of 2 will give me the second input. So this is another way. So we see another, we can either use, instead of this one, we can still use that square braces technique, which Upasan already suggested. But this is another way of finding that one, instead of like an array way of accessing this one.
Clear.
Is it confused?
No, it's clear.
So I think with this one, that CSS techniques are covered. Shall we stop here, and we'll continue tomorrow? And if you want to try some hands-on, I can stay some more time so that you can try in all these expressions which we learned today. Because it will be fun if you try simply using this tool.
Can you show the syntax of that again, the end of type?
Yeah, sure.
Anil, again, these syntaxes and other selectors that we discussed today, will you be sharing any reading material about this?
I can share this.
Rahul, we will share this video.
We will share this video, and even this link I can share. This real-time board. I think this is a free application, so I can invite all you guys for this one. This is 1 month free application or something. You can use your Gmail account and to log into this this content. Whatever you can see here, no, all this content I can share.
Okay.
And probably each of this option I will update the respective syntax. Here I did not have.
From the history, maybe the developer tool history, you can give that, whatever you find out.
Yeah. The upward arrow can give the.
Yeah.
So here, if you move, if you use the upward arrow, all those expressions which you exercise can be retrieved.
Yeah.
Okay. So so to the nth type, it is like, see here for this parent, there are 2 childs, which is again a child to sender tag, right? So nth type expression goes like this. So first you need to tell which tag. So for this div parent, which tag is of your interest. So our interest is like input tag. So I mentioned that tag followed by a colon. Then end of type is a standard function which is available inside the CSS to get any one of the child which is of type, which tag is of type input, which is again a child to the div. So now if you see the div, this is with this much expression, we got the parent, which is nothing but this one. Now we are going to identify input, which is a child to this parent. For doing that one, actually end of type is not required. You can right away give this one. You got 2. So out of this 2, now you need the second input. Then either you can use your basic expression with open square braces, then give your attribute name and respective value. That is one way of doing it. Otherwise, you can give a colon, then end of type, which is a standard function inside the CSS. Now, the moment I give this one, this is telling a child which is of type input, and give me out. Let's say that there are 20 childs, and the number if you give that particular child you will get. Here we have only two childs, so I am giving 2. I got the second child. So the first one means give the number as 1. So I got the first one. Is it clear? Is it clear also?
Yes, sir, I was trying it, yeah.
Okay. There are so many. Still, you can go through some Google links. With this understanding, you can go through some Google links. There are so many other options available in the CSS. See, now I use another way, star instead of input. It's a wildcard star. So there are a lot of ways, but these are some of the basics and some of the advanced which we will be, which if we learn it, most of the 99% of the expression or web element can be figured out with this understanding.
Okay.
So what you can, if you go home, what you can try is that you come from some, you open any one of the website and you go, you can see some of the downward arrows. So all this thing is a parent to this div child. So you go to a parent which is having so many childs, then from there onwards you try to navigate and find some of the web element as a child inside. So let's say for this parent, try to identify this A tag coming from here. And try to utilize what are techniques which we learned today.
Yeah.
Okay. Any doubt? So try to do this. Try to do some at least basic expressions. And the XPath also, with this understanding, we can pretty much fastly we can finish the XPath portion. And if time permits, I will show one Hello World automation code also tomorrow. But I don't go further than that because first we need to learn little basics of Java. Then after learning Java again, we can come back to this one. Until then, after tomorrow's class, next 2-3 class, you can keep on trying this XPath and CSS.
Okay.
And then we will start the programming.
Okay.
So Anil, if they have any doubts, we can, check now. Then we can wind up today. Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody having doubt, I can stay back some more time.
I'm okay.
Rahul?
I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. So, last time when we took the Selenium, right, all of them faced this issue when we started the programming, like, finding XPath and all. So, keep practice this and make sure that it will be thorough. Otherwise,
Yeah.
So, since today I covered only CSS, I covered a little bit advanced portion also. Don't feel this is so tough. When you practice this comes very handy. Seeing the expression itself, you don't need to come back to the developer tool if you do it 2-3 times. If you do enough practice, you don't need to come back to the developer tool. Seeing the web element itself, you will be able to create an expression.
Okay.
So I think if nobody has doubt, we will drop off.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow. Yep.
Sure.
Thank you.
see you. Bye.